guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be taking you guys on a journey to explore some of the world's strangest, coolest and most unique jobs. Things you didn't know people actually get paid to do. So let's forget the 9 to 5 for a minute. Today we're going to be talking about career paths that are anything but ordinary. So if you're ready to hear about some of the weird and wonderful jobs in the world, let's dive right into the video. The first on my list for today would be professional sleepers. I'm sure a number of you must have heard of this job, and believe it or not, it is an actual job where people get paid for things like sleep studies, where researchers tend to study sleep patterns, or they get paid to test the comfort of mattresses. So fun fact for today, any mattress you're currently laying on, or you've been laying on, or you own, there are people that have been paid to test out the comfort for you. And then, like I said, sleep pattern. Thanks to people like the professional sleepers, researchers are able to study and gain some knowledge and understanding of our sleep patterns and whatever that is connected to our sleep. Imagine being able to tell people that your job is you nap all day. It's fun, right? And cool. I don't know where they are hiring, but if you come across that, you should definitely give it a try. Imagine being paid to sleep, it's fun. It's a fun job and weird one. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Next up, we have the water slide testers.
Changing. Summer's gone, but we're still dancing. Ooh, yeah.
And yes, this is a real job. People get paid to test out rides in a water park. Water slide testers are normally hired by water parks to test the safety, the speed, and the fun factor in new slides. They get to travel to different water parks, slide all day, and just make sure that it is safe and thrilling for visitors. So if you love adventure and you're not scared of heights, this could be your dream job. Now, here is one that might sound interesting. We have the pet food testers. You heard that right. There are some companies that hire pet food testers to taste the quality and taste of pet food before it hits the shelves. But you should note that they actually don't swallow the pet food. It's something that they just chew to be able to get the taste, to make sure that it is appealing to pets. So just in case you were wondering, no, they don't eat it and swallow it. They just chew it to get the taste, to make sure that it is appealing for our pets to enjoy and to eat. So for this one, if you have a strong stomach and you're up for it, then you should definitely give this a try. Who knows? And I don't have any idea how much they are paid or how their payment is like hourly, monthly. I don't know, but it is a paying job, so they are all paying jobs, just like the 9 to 5. These are all paying jobs, so it just depends. And they are all just, like I said, weird, strange, cool. So I just thought to share them. Maybe I will not only be the one learning, you can also learn for some of these things. So I thought, let's shed some light on it. Let's all get to know some of the jobs that are weird, strange and cool, and not just the normal 9 to 5 that we're all used to. For those of you who always love to think outside the box or love to do things outside the box, then this is definitely for you. The next on my list would be auto judge. There are people who get paid to smell products before they hit the shelf. Have you ever wondered that all the things we use like spray, deodorant, mouthwash, dishwash, bathing gel, all of these, do you ever wonder how the scent comes about, or how are they able to come and finalize on a particular scent that you have in your house? All of this. I don't know about you, but there are some times that I think about that, especially since I'm a huge fan of perfumes and the rest. I always sometimes like waiting job, for example. I just tend to wonder like, is there someone? Are there people? Is there like a process for people to actually perceive these things before they put it on the shelf? And how do you know that you can mix this and this to create this scent? You know, that just so many questions now to find out that they are actual other judge that get paid to get the sense of things before we get to use them. These professionals are normally hired by companies that, like I said, produce deodorants, mouthwash, perfume, other personal care products. Their job is to smell things to make sure that they actually do the job. So when you get a coconut flavored bathing gel, you should be able to perceive a coconut. When you get a strawberry, you should be able to perceive a strawberry. But for these people, theirs is weird in a sense that they tend to smell armpits. They also smell feet, and they also smell people's breath. Like human beings' armpit, breath, and feet. So for this one, I'm not so sure about this one for myself. Like if I would love to try, this will not be on the list. I'm fascinated, or I have a strong sense of smell. So for this one, when I was reading about it, I was like, okay, this is something I would love to do. But the moment I found out that they get to smell armpits, breath, and feet, I was like, nope, I don't think so. Armpit, breath, and feet are just some of the things, not even everything. So it's definitely not for the faint of heart, and I am not of the faint of heart when it comes to this, so no. But if you have the mind and that is something you would love, there is a job like that people actually get paid to perceive the smell of things before they get to the shelf. So when next you use your perfume, bathing gel, mouthwash, whatever it is, remember that there are people paid to perceive that scent, to make sure that it is what it is before it reaches your hand. They are making sure that products keeps us smelling fresh and clean. Now for the last weird job on my list would be for my sweet tooth people, ice cream testers. Yes, there are people who get paid to test ice cream. An ice cream tester is also called or referred to as a food scientist. So anywhere you hear the mention of a food scientist, just know that they are probably talking about an ice cream tester. And these professionals get paid to test and develop new ice cream flavors. Their job is to analyze the flavor, the texture, and the creaminess of the ice cream to ensure that it is just right, you know. So if you think about it, there are people who actually get paid to eat ice cream all day. And just like I said, they are also referred to as a food scientist. So if you hear a food scientist anywhere, then it should pick up your memory or relate you to an ice cream tester, you know. So yeah, and I've come to understand that there are so many weird and odd jobs that we don't even know about, that the world is even yet to hear of. Because speaking about this other judge, for example, saying that they have to smell human beings' armpits, they have to smell people's breath, and they have to smell people's feet, you know, it just makes me open up to the idea that just about anything you can think of in this world, I feel like there is a job for that, you know, to make sure that, because before you do anything, before you put any product on the market, that if you're doing things right, before you put any product on the market, you have to try it out, you have to taste it out, you know. There's a space or there's a time for that, for it to be tried out. There has to be a period of trial and error before announcing it or launching it into the world. So I want to believe that there are lots and lots of weird and unique jobs, strange jobs that we just don't know about because we are not just in the right place, or we haven't been introduced to that side of the world. So if you think about it, I want to believe we have so many weird jobs in this world. Let's say, for example, a toothbrush. If you want to think about how a toothbrush is made, I want to believe that they didn't just produce toothbrush in the beginning and, you know, just got it right, or assume that this should be able to brush a human being's teeth. So the evolution of things is because the moment you produce something, because we're going to put in consideration, before people didn't know better. So let's say with the evolution of toothbrush, they kept evolving because after a while they realized that there's something that can be done better, you know. Oh no, it doesn't clean this space, or it doesn't work this way. So I feel like in things like that, or in aspects like that, I feel there should be a place where people try out all these things. It's just that we don't work in places like that. We don't have people who work in places like that. We just don't have knowledge of anything. So it feels like all these things just magically come into place without even thinking that there are people whose job is to try out and test all these things. So it's just a fascinating topic that I thought to share with you guys, because it's something that I also think about, especially after this topic. Before you do anything or use anything, how did you know it was going to fit in this place? How did you know it to do this function without, trying it out? So if you're one of those that is into unique jobs, you're not for that 9 to 5 life, then we have so many odd, strange, and cool jobs. You just have to know the right place to look and have the right information. So yeah, I just thought it was fascinating and I thought to share it with you guys. So I hope you learned something new as I did. But I would love to hear from you guys. What's one job I've mentioned today that you would love to try? For me, I would love to try the professional sleeper or other George. These two. I'm not smelling armpits and feet or breath. But I would love to try in another one, another life. I would love to try an other George and to be a professional sleeper. But let's get into what I've been watching this week and listening to this week. The first on my list would be Lee, L-E-E. And this is a real life story about a photographer called Elizabeth Lee Miller. And she used to be a fashion model, but she became an acclaimed war correspondent for Vogue magazine during the World War II. And it is an inspiring story, just like I said, it's a real life story, nothing fun or exciting, just the story through pictures about World War II. And I want to say some parts are very, when I say gruesome, so just in case you don't have a strong stomach, you shouldn't watch it, because it's all about the war. You get to see things that just sad, sad. That after the movie, I was just wondering that for such a human being to have seen and experienced all of what she shared with us must be such a traumatizing experience. Just watching it as a movie, it leaves you feeling a bit traumatized, not to talk of experiencing, living. It got to a point where she will actively get on trains that is filled with dead bodies. And I don't know if you've heard, but according to what people say, the smell of a dead body is very strong and pungent. So imagine getting on a train filled with many dead bodies just to get pictures to show us what is going on. And there was a part where after coming back from the war at some point, or the first time I would say, and she went back to Vogue for them to print out the images and the rest. Then they released the latest edition for that year and no picture was added to the edition, and she got so riled up. She went there and she's just trying to get the world to see what happened during Hitler's time. She was even able to get a picture in Hitler's bathtub, so you could just see the passion, the anger, and everything that has happened. Because like I said, some things, what they did to human beings, human bodies, was just so unimaginable. And then for the world to just move on like nothing happened, so it's interesting. It's a different side to the world or history that you don't know about. And if you would love to know, then you should definitely give it a watch. The next on my list would be Canary Black. It is also a movie and it involves the CIA. There's a lady who works in the CIA. One day she got a call that her husband has been kidnapped and she needed to get a file called Canary Black for them to release her husband. And of course, Canary Black is not something she could easily get, and by the time she finally got it, they said it's a file that contains blacklist of every and any politician in the United States in the movie. So it was a file that should not see the light of day or should not be in the custody of anyone. So that is where the storyline is. But I would say, spoiler alert, she was able to get the file for them, but she lost her husband, and not to the hands of death. She lost her husband because Come to find out, the husband had a hand in his kidnapping and she being sent to get that file. So it was just, just give it a watch so I don't give out or put out too many spoilers. It's called Canary Black. The next would be Classified. This is also a movie. And then for this league, you can find it on streaming platforms. The Canary Black, you can find it on streaming platforms, but it is a Prime movie. And then for this Classified, it is a movie as well. It also has to do with the CIA, the normal storyline that just, it's a bit different, and it revolves around a man who is supposedly working for the CIA, or is it the MI6? I can't remember, but one of these places he was working for them, only for him to discover that the person or the man that he's supposed to be working for has been dead a long time ago, and his wife, who is also dead, came to find out that who he knew was not who she is, and the person giving him all this information happens to be his daughter that he never knew about and never even knew that he had a daughter. So it was like they came to rock his world from nowhere. It was like one story after the other. It got to a point that he didn't even know what he knew. He wasn't sure what he knew, so it's also a good and interesting watch. And I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts. That is why it seems I'm just giving the story bit by bit or just randomly. Just give it a watch. They are really interesting. I don't know how else to say it to you guys other than it is interesting. Give it a watch, you will not regret. The next I've been watching is called Cuddle League. For this one, this is also a movie, by the way, but I must confess that this is slow. So just in case you happen to watch it, it is slow, but it is different, different in the sense that it is one of the most confusing movie I have ever watched. We are going to 2022, we're going to 2002, we're going to 2005, we're in 2024. Like, they're just so, like, the confusion was just so much that at some point I even fell asleep. Not that it was boring though, I was tired, but it is really, really confusing. Just so have that in mind in case you decide to give it a watch. It has to do with a lake that is just, I don't know, it is just creepy. Not creepy per se, but it is just not normal. It is abnormal. That is the way. Not creepy, but it is abnormal. But just give it a watch. Save me from this rambling or yapping. Just give them a watch. And then the next I've been catching up with my series, which is The Old Man. And this last episode, I am so anxious waiting for the next episode because the dynamic has changed. The person who used to be that person who was undercover today is almost one of the most powerful people. All of a sudden it's like happened overnight. So it is really, really interesting. You should give Old Man a watch. If you are not watching, give it a watch. And if you're watching it or you're watching any of this I get to list or mention, please feel free to leave it in the comment section. For those who haven't watched it, shed some light on the storyline and whatever it is that comes to your mind about the movie series. If you don't like it, feel free to still let us know in the comment section. But Old Man, very interesting. If you're not giving it a watch, you should. And all of this I'm mentioning today can be found on streaming platforms. And then the next would be Paris Has Fallen. This is also another intriguing and engaging TV show. For these two, that is The Old Man and The Paris Has Fallen, they are both series. Good watch. You should definitely give them a watch. But I would say for all of this, they include violence and guns. So just have that at the back of your mind just in case. Well, they are all interesting. Give them a watch, you will not regret. And then for this week, the new song I've been listening to would be Heart of a Woman by Summer Walker. That is an interesting, a nice jam. So and she has such a soothing and just wonderful, amazing voice. I'm a fan of Summer Walker and the song is nice. It's just cool. And I'm not really such a fan, or in as much as I am not big on love songs, I have people like Summer Walker, Caesar, Ariana Grande. These are some of the artists that I would listen to love songs from. These are where I get my love songs from. So Heart of a Woman is an interesting song by Summer Walker. You should give it a listen. if you haven't. And yeah, this is all I have for this week. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If there's anything you would love for me to talk about, shed some light on, feel free to leave it in the comment section, and I'll see if it's something I can do. Then I'll definitely put it out there for you guys. But thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.